Hello everyone, I'm going to solve similar questions to your assignment. Let's start with the first one. So we have a variable str_example and this variable is a string variable. And this variable is learning Python is fun and effective. Now first we are going to slice this variable and display the first 15 characters. So for slicing, first we are typing the variable and we use the square bracket. We want from 0 to 15th index, and that's what we want, and we want to print the result. Therefore I'm using a print function, and once you run this code you will see that you get learning Python. Just a quick recap, indexing starts from 0 in Python, and if you type 0 to 15 here, 15th index is not included. So let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14th. 14th is shown on the screen, but not the 15th. So now next question. I want to print the slice of the last 15 characters. So I'm going to type again str example here. And I want to add at -15. And the start is the last character, so I don't need to type anything. Since I want to print this, I will use a print function. And if you run this code, you will see that you get the last 15 characters. Let's count -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10 is space, -11, -12, -13, -14 is a space, and -15 is n. And let's do the next question. Replace fun with rewarding in the given string. And let's call that we have a new string and call it as modified string, str. And we are going to use replace function. So we have str example variable and we want to replace the word fun with rewarding. So let's run this code and let's print also the new string modified str, and you see fun is replaced by rewarding. Next question is about functions. This week we learn about functions and we learn how to create a user-defined function. In order to define a function, you start with def word and you need to give a name to function, and it's calculate underscore area. This is the function. And in the parentheses, we need to tell Python which arguments Python needs to use to calculate the function, or which variables. We have two variables. We are going to provide length and width, and Python is going to use to calculate the area. If you remember, the area of rectangle is length times width. So now first you define the function. After the colon, you are including a formula that calculates the area. And finally, we are going to include a return statement. Return is going to return the output of the function. So this is the function that we created. And now we can actually apply. Let's say length is 10, width is 5, and I want to calculate area 1. So I'm going to call the function calculate area, and I will use 10 for length and 5 for width. And in order to see the results, let's use print function, and I'm going to use fprint for a nice print. And in fprint, I will say area of rectangular 1, and in the curly parentheses I need to include what I'm calculating, what I'm going to use as a variable, which is area 1, and then use quotation mark and close the parentheses. Let's run this. You will see area of rectangular 1 is 50. Let's do this example. This time we are going to write a function which is going to be called calculate average, and this function takes variables numbers or arguments numbers, and then this numbers is a list of numbers, so it's a list, not one number, as input, and returns the average of these numbers. So what we need to calculate average, first I need the sum of these numbers, and second I need the count of these numbers. Remember average formula, you take the sum, divide by the number of numbers in the list. So let's define our function first. Define calculate underscore average, and now here I'm going to use numbers, but numbers is a list, and first I need the sum of these numbers. Let's call this as total sum is equal to, we can use built-in function sum, so it's going to sum the numbers. And then second, I need the count of these numbers. If you remember from lecture videos, length is going to count the number of numbers in the list. And at the end, what I want to return is average. Average is equal to total sum divided by count. And what output I want to return? I want to return average for this function. So this is how we write this function, and let's apply. Let's say I have a list, and let's call it my list, and let's say my list is composed of 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, and now I want to calculate average. My list is equal to, I will call the function calculate average, and I'm going to use my list, and let's use a printf function to print the result, average of my list and what I want to calculate, I want average my list, and close the parentheses. Let's run. Okay, here is the last question. This question is very similar to your assignment question. So we are going to create a new function, calculate compound interest, and this function uses the following arguments: principal, rate, time, compounding frequency, to calculate and return the amount of compound interest earned, as well as future value of an investment. So here is the formula. A represents the future value of your investment. P represents initially how much you have, that is the principal investment. R is the annual interest rate. N is the number of times that interest is compounded per year. And T is the time the money is invested or borrowed for in N years. So again, we start with def, and our function is this one. Let's copy paste because it's hard to type. And always after you define your function, you have colon here, and now we need to include the formula. So for calculating future amount, let's call it amount. The formula is already given, we just need to type this formula in Python. So first here we have principal, and it has to multiply by the number in the parentheses. And here we need 1 plus rate divided by the number of times that interest is compounded, which is compounding frequency, and to the power we have n times t, and again compounding frequency, times, this time t is time. So this is the future value. But also we need to calculate interest earned. Interest earned is the difference between amount and principal. So what we are going to return as a result, we want to return interest earned and amount. So you can write two arguments together with return statement. So this is the function that we created. Let's run this one. And now let's apply it. So let's say we want to calculate if we invest $1,000 at 4% interest rate for 6 years and compound it quarterly. Okay, so what I want to calculate is I invest $1,000 and the interest rate is 4% for 6 years and compounded quarterly. Quarterly compounding is equal to 4. Okay, if it's monthly, then it has to be 12 because there are 12 months in a year. But quarterly compounding, since we have 4 quarters, therefore it should be 4. So what we want to find interest earned, and we also want to get at the end future value. These are the two variables we want to calculate using this function. So let's call our function calculate compound underscore interest. Now I need to have the arguments starting with the principal, which is 1,000. Then we need the rate, but rate has to be in decimal form. And next we need time, 6 years, and compounding frequency is 4. And finally, I want to print this results. Let's use fprint and say interest earned is going to be interest earned, and future value is going to be future value variable that function calculates. And let's run this. I forget here this one. As you see, interest earned is almost $270 and the future value is almost $1,270. So this is all for Virtual Lab 4. Thank you for watching this video.